What's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Real Talk for Real Men, Wednesday's edition. If this is your first time joining, thank you for popping in. We are live every Wednesday and Sunday. And Real Talk for Real Men is part of the TFG TV platform of shows, so you can find us on YouTube and on Facebook. My show deals specifically with relationship type issues. And on Wednesdays, we like to have a conversation that's a little bit more of a serious nature, hopefully something you can use. So we don't claim to be experts in any area. And so think of us like a grocery store. When you go to the grocery store, you're not there to buy everything. You're there to pick up a few items, things you might need, occasionally something you might want. Think of us the same way. So, welcome if this is your first time. We appreciate you being here. We love you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. And again, you can find us on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Let me bring in my co-host really quickly so we can get to it. We've got Tasha joining us from Memphis, Tennessee. How's it going, McMac?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Hump day, dealing with issues of sciatica and making it through the week, but, I'm here, still standing.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go. And I see I got my brother from Texas, Mr. Kenny. What's going on, brother?
What up? What up? How you guys doing? What's up, Tasha?
What's
We are
going on,
doing
Karen?
fantastic. How about yourself, sir?
Good. Like you say, Hump Day Wednesday. Beautiful weather. You know what? Beautiful weather always puts you in a good mood, no matter what's going on in your life, whatever. Just when you see the
I,
sun shining and it's nice outside, it just puts me in a great mood.
I'm
I
gonna have to
disagree.
agree with you here.
I disagree.
Oh, you disagree? Oh,
you know,
okay.
Oh, I hate this time of the year. I hate when the weather is gonna start getting warm. I know what it means. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
What does it mean?
Well, it's the increase of what I like to call. Well, it's too early to curse. Just foolishness
Okay.
and fuckery. Basically, it's just an increase of it. I know it's to be expected. The
Oh,
increase of people out on the road, so I'm not looking forward to the weather shifting at all.
okay. Oh, wow. Well, you just killed my buzz,
what's going
Tasha.
on, brother
Thank
I
Lamar?
you.
didn't mean to do
Good to
that.
see you.
What's up, Lamar? I'm just kidding.
That's Mr. TFG himself. We
Yeah.
appreciate
What's
you, my
up,
brother.
Lamar? What's up, brother? I just love the. I mean, sunlight does me good.
Mhm.
Vitamin D just, I don't know, it just puts me in a whole different frame of mind, no matter what. So,
While I understand Tasha's input, and in case this is your first time watching the show, fuckery is not even a curse word on here. So that's just a colloquialism that
yeah,
we
believe me, that's a tame
on
one.
the show.
Believe me,
Uh,
yeah, especially for
You
me,
know,
that's tame.
you know. So don't feel bad if it's your first time. So, but I agree with her. I know what she means. But
Yeah.
as I talked to her earlier today, the weather here in Atlanta right now is magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. Oh, this entire week so far, not it hasn't been a cloud in the sky, clear blue skies. The weather is like mid 60s or 72 degrees. It is fantastic. I even said this is the kind of weather where as high as gas prices are, I would ride tonight. If I had people to visit tonight, I would ride
Right,
tonight. It is a
riding weather.
beautiful night. The weather is magnificent. And we got Miss Sherry, my sister, joining us from New York. How's it going, sis?
I'm good. Hi, everybody. Hi,
Hey, what's
Kenny.
up,
Hi,
Hey,
Sherry?
Tasha.
Sharon.
How
Hey,
y'all doing?
We are
good.
doing
Good.
great. Welcome, sis. And now when we got Brother Bert popping in, so we getting our full cast here. What's going on, my brother from North
Hey,
Carolina?
hey, people, how y'all doing?
Doing all right. Looking good, my brother. Good to see you. We missed you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
What's
So we
up,
were
Bert?
just briefly talking about the weather. So welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys. And we're gonna get to our topic tonight. If I said to you guys, what are the four horsemen? What does the four horsemen make you think of? When you hear that term, whenever you hear that term about the four horsemen, what does that make you think of?
Do I get one or two shots?
Tell me as many as you like, my brother.
All right, Four Horsemen. It makes me think apocalyptic.
Mhm.
And then the
Absolutely.
second one, because this is the nerd in me, reminds me of wrestling the Four Horsemen with Ric Flair and them.
All right. All
That,
right.
that
All
was my
right.
answer.
All right.
Bert's second answer is my answer. That's what I think of.
All right. All right.
I
Now
think
having,
of
I'll go ahead, sis.
I think of symbolically, what was in the Bible about the four horsemen riding.
Absolutely, absolutely, and so you're right, and even and even the wrestling thing, they were called the four horsemen even then for a reason because it still represents the biblical context of Revelation of the four horsemen riding in Revelation that's supposed to bring about imminent destruction. So when you hear that term, imminent destruction. So with that said, if you look at the title, the four horsemen that ruin relationships and how to deal with each, we're going to just examine four areas that unless you can rein them in, using that term horseman, they can absolutely ruin the relationship that you're in or any potential relationships. What's going on, Brother Kenny? I absolutely dropped the link to you directly. So welcome, my brother, as well as I'll drop it in the comment section here for anyone who wants to pop in. As I've always said, all are welcome. So hopefully our brother Kennard will be joining us here in a second. But we're going to talk about the four horsemen in the sense of the relationships, the things that can absolutely ruin a relationship, and while we understand that all couples are going to have problems, I think that goes with the territory. Anybody that's in a relationship that said they don't have problems, that's a problem in of itself, because a relationship is a living, breathing thing, and you have to put the energy into it. So we're going to bring up the very first one because we don't have a whole lot of time. We're now trying to keep our shows under an hour. So we're going to do our very best. So the first one we'll talk about is criticism. Why do you think, I'm asking the panel, that criticism left unchecked, unreined in, could absolutely destroy a relationship? Anybody?
If it's not because there's two ways to criticize or to accept criticism. Some criticism comes from a place of being constructive and being helpful to a relationship, but it also can come from a place of destructive as well, as if you're always criticizing your spouse or that other one on every little thing, just nitpicking on every little thing. That would eventually cause that other person to eventually blow up. And so constructive criticism is good. Like I always say, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it.
That's
Criticism,
so
it ain't how you say it. I mean, what you say is how you criticize. So yeah, that's definitely one that can definitely destroy a relationship.
Absolutely. With that said, what's the difference between complaining and criticizing? What's the difference between complaining?
I think complaining is you're complaining about something that you don't that's being done, or like just something, maybe somebody's leaving their socks on the floor. I wish you quit leaving the flat socks on the floor, or you always leaving the refrigerator door open. Whereas criticizing, you're really criticizing that person about something about them. To me, that's the difference between complaining and criticism.
Brother Kenny, you hit the nail on the head. Complaints is about something specific. Voicing a complaint and offering feedback is addressing a specific issue, something very specific. I don't like that you leave the toilet seat up. Oh, we talked about Tasha, how she likes her bathroom.
Right.
These are very specific areas. Criticizing is attacking a person for who they are.
Right.
It's attacking them for who they are. So why do you guys think that can make a major difference? Because complaints, they're going to happen. You're two different people, So anybody want to comment on that, on how there's a difference in the way you handle that?
Well, I would say, okay, for someone who is hypercritical, yes, we know that the difference. Complaining is more about their behavior, where the criticalness comes in about them, their personality specifically. This can be harmful because you can tear someone down so far that you can make them a shell of the person that they were or that they should be. There was a video that I saw of this lady, and she said that her ex-husband, from the time that he woke up until the time he closed his eyes at the end of the day, he made it his mission to tear her down on everything she did, about the way she looked, about things she said, about her accent, about how she dressed. He would go out of his way to over compliment other women that he may have seen on the street or even just on TV by saying, that's the type of woman I want to be with. You can tear someone down that you just leave them just so emotionally just damaged that some people don't ever recover from it. And you can push someone so far that you can make them suicidal. So that's the detriment of it.
Absolutely. Great examples. What's going on, Hannah? How you
Hey,
doing,
what's up,
sweetheart?
Hannah?
Good to see you. And I love how you put that and you gave real examples, because it's actually okay to complain. You know, that can actually help a relationship improve itself. Nobody's saying that you should just be okay with things that you know irk you, you know. And so it's a give and take where you're helping the person, you know, to and helping the relationship itself. What's going on, brother Kennard?
What's going on, y'all?
What's going on,
What up,
brother? Hey, how you
Kennard?
doing? And so complaints, you know, they actually have a place in a relationship, especially if the relationship has hit that level where you're living together, sharing space, you know. And so you're going to have different things about each other that you find off-putting. But instead of making blanket statements to hurt your partner, it talks about pinpointing specific behavior or issues that you might have a problem with. And then, as you said earlier, Brother Ken, it's not what you say sometimes, it's how you say it. So you can soften the statement, reframe the statement to address a specific problem so that it doesn't become to a point where you are criticizing the person, their character, who they are. So what the example Tasha was giving is this poor woman, from the time she opened her eyes, this person was on her nonstop. I don't like the way you walk. Why you got to eat like that? You know, that's the difference. That's the difference. And so it's critical that we know the difference between complaining and criticizing. There's a place for complaining, but criticism, and we even hear that term constructive criticism, and yes, it can be if there is a major way, so it's a way to say it, but you want to be careful that you don't let this particular horseman rough ride over your relationship, because as Tasha said, that can destroy the person themselves. You know,
I think sometimes with the criticism, if you phrase it in a way that maybe you can let someone know how it affects you. Like when you say this to me, it makes me feel like this. If this
Yes.
is how I perceive it.
Yes.
And so maybe, you know,
absolutely.
trying to turn it around so that someone else can understand, like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. So
Yes. And it would be helpful to, I mean, like you said, Black, we are all not going to be happy with our partner. We're going to have issues, but also try to say, okay, how can we fix this? I think a lot of times we so big on pinpointing what's wrong, but nobody ever wants to come together and say, hey, babe, how can we fix this? Or how can I be better? Or what can we do? You know, so that's the biggest thing to anything, is just being open to finding a solution to the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, welcome again, Brother Kennard. You know, we're talking about the four horsemen, you know, things that can ruin a relationship. And the first one we were talking about is criticism. You know, before we move on, did you want to add anything to that?
We don't hear you, Kennard.
Yeah, hold on. I think you're muted, my brother.
Yeah, we don't hear you.
You're still muted.
All
There
right,
you
can y'all
go.
hear
There you go.
me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I think talk about criticism and you know, how to approach that in a relationship. I think you need to test your motives. You know what I'm saying? What are you trying to achieve? Like, are you trying to make this person feel bad, or are we trying to get to the solution? I've learned,
Absolutely.
I've seen some things that I didn't like
Oh, we lost that last part.
We lost you, Kennard. Oh,
You said
man.
you've seen some things.
Okay.
What happened?
Yeah, I've seen some things. Yeah, 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 yeah. I've seen some things that I didn't like, but at the same time, I had to figure out, well, am I approaching this the right way? Or is it even as bad as I think it is? Or what can I do to be a better person to where this person won't even respond like that? So every now and then when we talk about criticism and we talk about like, you know, analyzing what another person is doing, every now and then we got to look within to see what we're doing, because in life and with achievement and stuff, if it's to be at times, if you're going to have a good situation, if it's to be, it's going to be up to you, because if you're doing everything you got to do, then chances are the things that you are criticizing about probably won't even present itself if you're presenting yourself the right way. That's just my response to that.
I love it. I love it. There's a lot of good there. And I love the fact that you mentioned we should examine what the intent is. You know, is it to help the person, to help the relationship, or are you just criticizing and complaining just for the hell of it, just to be complaining?
Yeah, just to
And
talk
not,
shit.
you know,
Just to
absolutely. When we all bring some faults to the table, you know, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. You know, Kenny, I had to share a comment with you. Brittany says, I have trouble believing Ken is single.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, you had trouble, and I damn so had trouble believing in myself. So we both in trouble, Brittany.
Hence why I'm doing these shows.
I'm gonna say, Brittany, I'm with you. I don't believe Kenny is single either. I think he's got something going on that he ain't telling.
Hey, fam. Nah, hey, man. Hey, I'm as single as a dollar bill over here, brother.
In 2022, brothers like Kenny is trying to get back out there. He's trying to get back out there, but that's just it.
Yeah.
I hope shows like this, you know, again, we don't claim that we know what works in relationship. I can tell you what don't work.
Yeah,
so
I can too.
Sometimes by focusing on what not to do and not to repeat, hopefully we're making ourselves better packages, better presenting ourselves better for when that right person comes along again, you know.
Right.
So let's go to number 2. Criticism was the first horseman that we talked about. The second one is contempt. What's the difference between when does criticism, I'm going to rephrase it, when does criticism become contempt? When does criticism, because what criticism taken to another level, it becomes contempt. So while you guys mull that over, let me give you some things to think about. When you're treating somebody with contempt, especially your partner, it's beyond criticizing just them. Tasha gave a great example. But here is the key I want you guys to pick up on. Contempt starts to creep in when you're attacking them from a place of moral superiority in a way that makes them feel disrespected, despised, and worthless. So that's where it becomes contempt. So the example Tasha gave of this man, that from the moment the woman opens her eyes, something else is here now to the point that you've got her, but now everything she is about, the way she walks, talks, breathes, eats, whatever, and you up here looking down on her because now you want to make her despise herself and feel worthless. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, and I think Kennard was kind of hitting on that. I think now Kennard was mentioning motives. So to me, that shows a person motives is I'm saving you. You can't do better than me. You can't leave me, because guess what? I'm the best you ever had, and gonna be the best you've ever had. So that's when it didn't really cross over into a serious dysfunction. When you're talking about contempt, it's going to lead to something a whole lot worse, in what I think, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I can give you an example, because I went through that in one of my relationships, my past relationships, and that can actually make the relationship toxic.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you're continually doing something like that on purpose, and come to find out, she just wanted out of the relationship. So she went ahead and did her best to just go ahead and keep criticizing and just make it seem like, you know what I mean, like you were saying, I'm on a pedestal, you're beneath me, no matter what you're doing is wrong, and you will never find anything better than this.
I
You know what
love
I'm
it.
saying?
I
So
love
it
it.
was just really like she was really just using it as a mask to try to skirt out the relationship because she wasn't mature enough just to say, hey, listen, I think we should just go our separate ways, so you're trying to tear me down in the process. You know what I mean? You caught me on a good day. You know what I mean? Everybody get caught once in a while.
Right,
And you
right.
caught me on a good day because she did tear me down a little bit. But at the
Gotcha.
end of the day, it was because she was weak and she just didn't know how to handle it in a mature fashion. You know
I
what I'm
love
saying?
it.
So, when it gets to that point, it can really get toxic and it can really get weird and it can get a little rough depending on the person that you're with, or if you're the person doing it to another person, you don't know what zone or where you can put them at. So that's a dangerous place and that's a dangerous game to play.
I'm glad you said I want to read something to you guys. And welcome to the show, Nathy. Contempt, man. And I want to show you how big this one is. John Gottman, who is a relationship expert who I drew this article from, he called contempt the most corrosive of the four horsemen. And get this, the single biggest predictor of divorce. Contempt has been shown to weaken your immune system. He says contempt is sulfuric acid for love, the most poisonous of all relationship killers, destroying psychological, emotional, and physical health.
I believe it.
That's the part that got me. He called it the single biggest predictor of divorce. So, Brother Bert, when you said that it was masking the fact that she wanted to get out of the relationship, that's what hit home for me. When you see relationships, especially now in this social media age and public figures, and it gets real nasty, it's masking that they just want to be out of the relationship. And a lot of times, that instead of behind the scenes just saying, I'm unhappy, you're unhappy, let's go our way. But it goes to that level to how many times have we seen where you see somebody like a Angelina Jolie and a Brad Pitt who've been together for all these years and they got all these kids, and all of a sudden then when they start to split up, you hear that he was abusive, or they indicate that maybe he was molesting or doing something unnatural with the
Yeah.
kids. You know what I'm saying? Why does it get so toxic? I like your word, Bert, when it didn't have to go there. It really and
I
truly
would
didn't have to go there. Go ahead, Tasha. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say with the contempt part, I don't think that it has to do anything so much with the person that the attack is launched on, but who is doing the
Ooh,
attacking.
Yeah.
So when
ooh,
it
Motive.
says
Yeah.
in that, in that about it being so corrosive, I think that that person is lashing out because they hate themselves so much. So not only are they doing it to them, but they're so unhappy with themselves that I think subconsciously they're lashing out at themselves because they're unhappy with where they are.
very good point. Very good point. How do we then guard against contempt for someone? I think probably everybody on this panel has broken up with somebody before. Been in a relationship that's gone south, gone sour. Now I don't know if any of you've been in any that got volatile. You know, I personally have no experience with. I tell people this all the time. I can't give anybody advice on when it gets volatile because I've never been in that situation. Breaking up my own shit and jumping on the woman and her jumping on me and all that kind of. I can't speak to that. But I've been in relationship that went sour. You know what I'm saying? How do you
Mhm.
keep it? How do you think we keep it from when you get to a point where, man, this is not working? I got to get out of this to it turn into contempt. How do you guard against that?
I think that's been the main problem is that a lot of people don't know when to call it quit. They don't know, they're too weak. And in Bert's example, they're too weak to just say that it's time for me to go or that they want to go. Some people would just much rather just ride it out for the sake of saying that they have someone. But I think that's more, it's very subjective because it's up to you and only you know what your breaking point is. But if you get to that point where you feel like that the best thing and the only reaction that you have with someone is to tear them down, only you can call that. And now for the person who is being attacked in that manner, don't stay. It's not, easily we could say like, don't stay. But again, everyone has their own breaking point.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well,
Hannah, sis, before you go, Hannah says some people might can't speak their truth through until they are no longer in that situation, and that's a good
That's a
point
good
too.
point.
That's a
true.
Yeah.
very good point.
That's a
You
good
That
know,
is
point.
good.
you
But
know,
I
maybe
went through. When you were talking about that, you just made me remind me of something, and it got physical, and it got physical from the other half,
mm,
where it would happen like my boys were young, and this woman pulled out a knife on me,
wow,
and my
wow,
boys jumped in front of me,
wow,
and
wow.
I was getting ready, like, because I didn't know what was going to happen,
Right.
and that was it. That was
Gotcha.
it. If there was a line in the sand, of course that was
That
obvious
was it.
because it was heading that way. But when you get to a point where, like again, when you use that word toxic, and then there's words that's being said, and then you trying to keep your distance, and then this person is still pushing you, and then all of a sudden they're not getting their way, then they're going for something in front of your kids. Dog, that was a dark place for me, man, because
I can believe it.
listen,
I believe it.
I thought I was going to be up in the pen somewhere. I thought I was going to do a bid.
I got you. I
Because,
got you.
also my boys in front of me. If you're going to try to do something with my boys or something
Right.
like that, it's a wrap, man. Straight up.
I got you. Sis, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were going to bring up a point.
Oh no, I was just gonna say you as you well know, I had a toxic breakup, but it got to a point where I had to beat on him. And see, once I have to beat you, you got to go after that because I'm not gonna trust you. You know what I mean?
And so just so even hearing that again, I have no point of reference. I've always lived by a simple principle. If you can make me angry enough at you that I want to hurt you, I know I don't need you.
That's right.
And I've always been able to walk away because if you can elicit that level of vitriol out of me, like you say, Brother Bert, that I know it's toxic at that point. You know, I can be angry with you. I've been in, God knows I've been in situations where the person has made me angry. They do something that I'm pissed, you know. Now, thank God my personality is not such that I'm a screamer or a yeller, breaking up things. That's never been in my personality. If
Right.
anything, this may be a Capricorn thing.
It is.
I've been accused of when I say something, it's low and quiet, and they say that's even worse. I've had my women say that, damn, I would have rather you slapped me than, than the coldness. So Kenny is shaking his head,
Oh, it is. I'm
because
just saying. I know what you're talking about.
right.
Yeah.
So I know you know, and so I've had to learn over the years to be more communicative and to guard against that level of coldness rather
Right.
than on the flip side of it that is just as bad. And I didn't know that,
Right.
but even then, as mad as somebody can make me, I'm not going to stay with you if you can make me think that, man, I want to really hurt this person, and you're
Yeah.
damn sure not going to hurt me. So Brother Bert, when it starts to get physical, and in this case, your children is there, okay, I gotta go, from this. So that's the thing. But I wanted to share something with you guys, where it talks about how to deal with contempt in a relationship, because Sherry, I want you to hear this part, so that you don't ever repeat that where you have to jump on somebody. You know what I'm saying? It says you must learn to accept one another as moral equals and express appreciation for one another. Get this, on a regular basis. How important is that, to express appreciation for one another on a regular basis?
That's very important. Nobody wants to be with somebody they don't feel appreciate them. I mean, because then if now we're talking about a respect thing. Now, I mean, do you respect me? I mean, nobody. I mean, that's just human. We're humans. We still have feelings. I don't care. We all have our own different quirks and personalities.
Yep.
But at the end, every being on earth still wants to feel loved and wants to feel appreciated, especially by the person that they're supposed to be in a relationship with. If I can't get it from you, then what are we doing? Why are we here? I
Absolutely.
mean, that's my opinion.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. No
I agree.
doubt.
There's no big
No doubt
eyes, no
about that.
little U's. You know, we all on an equal playing field. If I'm making you feel good, I'm gonna let you know, and you reciprocate it back to me, and it just strengthens the bond.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. And they gave an example of how to do that. Now you're gonna say it however you say it because we all talk in different. We have our little ways that we speak to each other. But it gave some examples of just telling somebody, "Hey, I'm thankful to have you in my life," or "I really admire your drive and sense of humor," or "I admire your level of dedication." Now, whether you use those words or not, like Brother Kenny's saying, everybody wants to feel respected and appreciated. You know, and something as simple as telling that woman in this case, baby, thank you for making breakfast. Yeah, I really enjoyed
Yes.
that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Just something that
Man,
simple. Yeah.
right. Something just that simple, man. That was a good ass meal. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate that. And ladies, instead of assuming that the Tasha's laughing, that is the man's automatic role to take the garbage out and pump the gas, this and that. How about thanking him sometime, Baby,
I thought you were going in a different direction.
Go ahead, Tasha. Go
No,
ahead.
I thought you were saying in a different direction. Like,
No,
ladies,
no.
tell him sometimes, thank you for that dick. It was good.
No,
See,
see, I wasn't even thinking that. I was not even thinking
I
that.
already knew Tasha was mine was in the gutter. I already knew what she was
Thank
saying.
you. That was not me,
I'm
folks.
sorry.
That was
I'm
not
sorry.
me, folks. That was not. I really was seriously, But yeah, just little. It don't have to be any big sweeping moments. You know what I'm saying? Coming up behind, and what man would appreciate a woman coming behind him and just massaging his shoulders? I know you had a hard day. Thank you. Baby, you do a lot for this family. Do you realize how far that will carry that man in the sense that damn, just hearing that she appreciates me getting up and hitting it and doing all those little things,
It will
little
carry a
things,
long way. Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know.
Just to know that you're not for granted. Absolutely. Just
Right.
because, there are those points in some relationships where it's that level, that lull, where people just think that, oh, well, you're just supposed to do it because you're here. So,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
and same way, men. Just because she's a woman, she's not there just to be the cook and to clean
Right.
up and everything.
Yep.
It go
True.
it go it goes both ways.
That's
It,
right.
go, it goes both ways. Saying thank you, that she don't have to cook you a meal or
Hmm.
just all. You know what? Women do a lot of little things that they don't get credit for.
I totally agree.
You
I
know,
totally agree with that. And it's just little things like, baby, I got the clothes tonight. I know you washed them.
man.
I put them in the dryer. I take care of them. Just little things like that, man. Yeah, it's really that simple. But unfortunately, our relationships, we just make it difficult as human
We
beings
really
for some
do.
reason.
All the men on here right now, our wives, our girlfriends, or whatever. When they see our drawers are too holy, what do? They
They
throw
gonna
your
say,
old
Throw it in
shit
the
out.
garbage.
and then we be mad, like, yo, wait a minute. What you doing? Them was actually my lucky draws, baby. You
Right.
just don't know. I wore them draws when I watched my Packers playing. You done threw my doggone draws away.
Absolutely. But when you stop and step back from it, though, something as simple as your underwear with that you thinking nobody's going to see this but her, but
Mhm.
she's thinking, I don't want you walking around in holy
Right.
underwear,
Right.
and I saw that you needed some underwear. That's a lot of little things that women do that we never just simply say thank you for. We act
Right.
as if this shit's supposed to happen, and it really doesn't.
Yep.
It really does. Welcome, Hannah. How you doing, sweetheart?
Hi,
hey, y'all.
Hannah.
Hey, what's up,
Hey.
Honda?
Hannah, we up to the third horseman, which is one of the most
Mhm.
things that could ruin relationships. And this one is defensiveness. And I want you to guys, to think about something that says defensiveness is often the response to the first two horsemen of criticism and contempt.
Yes.
You feel your partner attacked you, So naturally, you want to defend yourself and reverse the blame onto them in order to feel better. This kind of negative coping mechanism is also known as, and this is one of my favorite words I use all the time, righteous indignation. Righteous, and I talk about this, so I'm getting educated myself because I talk about that all the time. Sherry knows this. I always talk about having righteous indignation. So what do you guys think about defensiveness and how this can actually ruin a relationship?
I think this one is a little, maybe I would put this one ahead of contempt, to be honest with you. And
Okay.
and I would say this, and I'm not getting on us brothers, but I think brothers, we tend to practice this more than women. Because here's
Yes.
just a quick example. A
Yes.
woman, your lady can come up to you and say, you know what, babe, this is I need you to do this, and I ask you to do this and this and this. And as a man, rather than say, okay, babe, I know, I remember you saying that. We said, well, when I asked you to do this back then, why you bringing this to me now? Rather than staying on topic, no, we're not talking about what happened then. We're talking about what's happening now. I think sometimes men, we get more defensive. I'm not saying women don't, but I think men sometimes
You're
we
right.
get more
No, I agree with
defensive
you.
and try to change the subject, and instead of tackling
I agree
what
with
we
you.
need to be
I
tackling
agree
right
with
now,
you.
we try to go back and say, well, you didn't do this. So, yeah.
Or how about this one, Ken? The woman is getting on you about something, a shortcoming, or maybe something, giving you some, advice. And how about when we do this? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do that when you do X, Y, and Z.
That we do that. We do that. That's true.
We do that. We do that. And I am. Woo, Lord, I'm guilty of this.
I'm guilty. I'm not sitting here and saying I'm saying this, and I'm not saying I'm innocent. Believe me, I've been guilty of this defensive mechanism for real.
Absolutely. Anybody else? She's looking at you. Anybody else want to say
So
something?
I must do it. I don't know. I don't keep track, man.
Okay.
I must do it. I don't know. She made a face, then I must do it, and I'm not cognizant of it. So you gotta let me know.
There you.
Can't hold me to something
I'm
that I don't
sipping
know
my
about.
drink.
There you go, smart
This
woman.
is my rule, brothers. You can't condemn me for something that you don't talk to me about.
Hey, he got a point.
I never
How's
said
he gonna
you
know?
defensive.
No, he's not talking about that.
Yes, he did.
He said
You're talking about being
righteousness.
defensive.
I'm not defensive.
The hell?
I'm not defensive. I use receipts.
This is real talk.
And I'm giving
This is real talk.
and I'm giving a real answer.
This is real talk.
This is happening in real time.
You're not
at the same
defensive.
time too.
You want to sit here.
At
Here.
certain points I am defensive, but at other times it's perceived as being defensive when I'm really not defensive.
Okay.
And I think it's because sometimes it's my voice and sometimes it's my face. And a lot of people will come up to me and they'll say like, "Oh, you look so serious," and I'm just thinking.
Okay.
So it's the appearance sometimes.
I got you.
And like you were saying, Brother Kenny, sometimes it's the way you say things. So it might appear to be that I'm being defensive, or it sounds like I'm being defensive when I'm not. But at times I can be defensive. I can admit to that.
I know for me, I'm being fully transparent. I'm an asshole, and I'm an opinionated asshole. So I know I get defensive. I didn't see it as this way, to be honest. I'm talking about me now, in a sense. So when I get criticized, now I'm not so thin-skinned that I can't take criticism, but I do have a level of righteous indignation in me, and that I believe I'm right. I believe that I know best for the relationships and that I've been in, to the point where when I find somebody criticizing or critiquing something that I either am doing or not doing or should be doing, I do tend to get defensive in the sense of, for me, like, okay, that might be true, but you got a whole lot of shit you need to be working on too. You know,
that's what I'm, right? That's what I'm talking about.
That is one of my things.
And that's my thing too, because a lot of time when something is said to me, I think about the things that I don't say to you. So then when I hold it in, and then when it comes out, it's like, wait a minute. Now I could have dogged you on this, that, and the third, but then I didn't, but that's my fault.
Right.
because I should have
That's
said
your,
something. I can't
that's
hold
right.
somebody to
That's your
something.
fault.
Again, like
That's
my
right.
rule, if you don't tell me, I can't hold you. I can't hold you accountable. So that's on me. That's something that I'm continually working on.
That's you right, brother Bert. See, and we had a breakthrough on keep. Hey, real talk for real men. We have breakthroughs on this show. Just to let y'all know, we just had a breakthrough moment with brother Bert.
That's right.
It's true.
Absolutely.
I
Amen.
will say, I will say this, as far as the defensiveness goes, of course, when you do have those snap on hand, ready to come back things to say, it does often cut deep. And because especially what I've seen with men, if you feel like someone is questioning you, it's not like I'm not questioning your authority. I just have a simple question. I know me. I know I have a smart mouth and I know the things I say and I know how to get at somebody. So sometimes though, if what I'm saying is just a simple question, don't snap back at me like that. Cause now then it's gonna go there. And now I'm gonna go low. And it's only because I want to feel like I had the last word and I want to make you feel bad because it was just a simple question.
But I want to say this because I'm not going to let women off
Oh, don't.
the hook either. Because I see you, Hannah, raising your glass
Oh
and
no, I was
agreement
gonna
with
go. I
what
was
she
gonna
was
talk about
saying.
myself.
Because I'm gonna say this, ladies, we're not gonna pretend y'all dumb now. Y'all are, in most cases, y'all are smarter than us.
Right.
Y'all are more patient than us. So when you say some shit, now let's keep it real now. You know exactly. So when she talk about asking a question, this woman is sitting here with a master's degree, and I know Tasha, she might be just asking a question, but the question is loaded sometimes.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
low. Thank
Right.
you for admitting it.
There
It
you
So
is.
go.
there is a part
And I
that I
already
want y'all to
know
accept.
and
Say
I
it.
already know what the answer I feel is acceptable. I already know what answer
I'm
I'm
glad she said
expecting for
that.
you to
I'm so
get.
glad she said that.
So
Thank you. Thank
See,
you
that's
for
a
saying
see now,
that.
now that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
That's a
First of
whole
all,
nother topic from what Tasha just said.
no,
Yeah.
but I do think that as women, a lot of times, and for a lot of women, we ask questions that we already know the answer to, but it's an answer that we already know we want. It may not
I'm,
be the truth, but it's the answer that I want.
I love the part where she's saying there is an answer she wants. There is an answer they're looking for sometimes, and that's why I said there's a shared blame. Go ahead, Hannah.
no, I was saying if for somebody told me I own my shit. First of all, sir. Uh,
I'm gonna let her preach. Go ahead.
I'll say this. I think that it also depends on past versus present sometimes when the defensiveness, because I'll be
Okay.
honest, when
Okay.
him and I first had an argument, because we didn't argue for a while, but when we did, we realized that we both went for the jugular, and that was not. He went low, I went low. We was still like we were low. So I think sometimes defensiveness comes when you even when you change, when you think about the past, because you might think, oh, you're being rude to me now, but that person probably wasn't being rude, but you're used to what happened before, and you're not putting the past out of your mind. So it might come across wrong or negative when
Right.
it simply wasn't. That's why sometimes we should, and I'm not saying people say never forget the past, but sometimes you have to when it comes to certain situations, because
Mhm.
at that point you might think your significant other is being defensive and they're not. And I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I'll ask him like, what's the problem? And it might not be a problem, but I heard a certain tone that I didn't like.
Right.
So at that point, I'm like, what's wrong with you? And then he'll hear something I'm saying, and I'm just calm with it. But to him, it'll come off a negative way. And I think sometimes it goes by how the past went and how things have changed. But I feel like sometimes you're not even really being defensive. You're just not getting over old wounds.
So I like that point. So I want to say this. So the how you guard against defensiveness, because we're not only presenting the issue, but how to yield and pull it back. The past is important. Knowing your partner, knowing those
Mm-hmm.
trigger points, because if you know that, then it talks about pausing.
Yes.
So instead of getting defensive because you might have heard it wrong or perceived it wrong, it takes an effort on both parties to pause and realize, in your case, what you're saying, Sister Hannah, is there is a history. So I let's be honest, you know exactly which buttons to push on each other. So when you said about going for the jugular, so that's and Brother Bert talked about holding back because he really could go in on some shit. That's where it's important to not go for the jugular, even though you know you can, to be patient, to pause. Something that was told to me by older couples when I was young and married is to never go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that too.
And I really tried to practice that when I was married, because what's the tongue is a terrible instrument. What comes out, and when it comes out, you might not always be able to take it back.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So this is a bigger subject. We just giving little simple answers, but learning how to argue effectively, not going for the jugular, not hurting each other, because look, we can't. The truth of the matter is we can hurt each other. The longer you with somebody, you actually know enough about that person that you actually know exactly what to say if you really wanted to hurt them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You definitely know what to trigger them. You got it. Yeah.
Tasha and I were talking earlier about how looking at our bodies, and we know all the little things. So that person can know exactly what to say to trigger that response. So it's not easy what I'm saying, but it's showing some restraint, to not go for the jugular, to rephrase when we asking those questions, and then even when we're asked or something is said constructively, to pause and think about how we're going to answer it.
So above the belt, learning how to fight clean. That's our next show.
Absolutely. You know what? That is worth exploring. Learning how to fight clean. It really is.
Okay.
But that's hard, brother. It's hard to. It's hard to me to go to bed, without arguing, because once I get mad, I'm like mama, and I'm gonna let you have it. Don't touch me, because then I'm gonna whop you. Then when he says that anybody I talk to, somebody call me, I gotta tell them. I even tell you, I get mad. Sometimes you have to shut me down, and you know what I'm saying. But it's not easy.
No, it is not. It is not. But that's where, if you're aware that you're doing it, that's where we're talking about pausing and catching yourself. And we already talked about the other two horsemen. How about going in the other direction and saying something nice? You know what? I hear you. Thank you for telling me that. And I can appreciate why you said that about me. Instead of, you know what? You can't be saying that about me. Bam, 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 bam. And then since you talked about going to bed angry, that brings me to the fourth and final four of the four horsemen, stonewalling, otherwise known as the silent treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Guilty.
You know what I'm saying? It says, like defensiveness, this happens in response to contempt. And Tasha's already saying she's guilty of this. We all know it's within us as humans. We have that fight or flight thing that happens. It says people may stonewall their partner when they feel like they just can't take it anymore. And I'm going to shut you out. You know what? I'm done with you. I ain't got no more to say. And Sherry Case, don't touch me or I'm going to whop you.
Brother, you good at that. And that makes me even madder. Because if you shut down and you won't say nothing, that makes me even madder. Say something.
So again, hearing that tells me I have something to work on, because in my head, I'm thinking rather than say the wrong thing or something so hateful, I'm not going to say anything. But when you hear somebody you love telling you that's not necessarily the best way to handle it. So now you got to figure out, okay, so I'm going to have to say something. So I have to figure out a way to say something.
I'm definitely guilty of stonewalling. I know y'all probably don't believe it. I'm not a big talker outside of these lights and cameras. I had that was probably one of the things that my ex and I probably had, because she was a stonewaller too. So you got two people who ain't saying to each other. That was very unhealthy, because we were both shut down. We ain't trying to say nothing to each other, period.
Right.
So I'm working on that too, because I think that's a bad thing, because now you holding all this stuff
Yep.
in, and then
Yep.
what'll happen is eventually you're gonna explode. But you want to be careful, because you don't want to say the wrong thing, because I'm big on that. Because words, once you say what you say, you can't take
It's
it
out
back.
there.
You
It's
you
out
can
there.
apologize 1,000 times,
It's out there.
but you've already said it. And so I've always been careful. If I'm in a certain type of way and I'm feeling certain type of way, I have to say, you know what, I'm gonna chill, because I know I may say something that I don't need to say.
I love it. I'm very similar.
But
I
that's
love
not
that.
good. Let me say this: that's not good.
No. And that's where I was
And I'm
going with
working
this.
on that. Yeah, I'm working on that.
And that's why I'm glad that shows like this, for me, it lets you know you still have a lot of work to do on yourself individually, because even when you think you got a handle on it, but you realize, man, I can still tweak some areas here, because again, I worked very hard on not going to bed angry. But the flip side of that was I wouldn't say anything. And so even though for me, I'm thinking, well, I didn't say nothing nasty, I just in my head, well, we'll deal with it tomorrow. But what I come to learn, and this is me and my ex-wife, we're very good friends. And after we divorced, we talked about all of these things. And what I never ever knew the damage I had done was because where you think I ain't saying nothing, you got that woman now laying in the room, not sleep, and mulling over all of the things that she's imagining that you never said.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting up in the den watching TV, but she's taking it a whole nother way. And there is a verbal, there is the stonewalling, there is a nonverbal method of that. How about turning your back on somebody?
Yep.
So when Sherry said about don't touch me, that's her. That's a different method of it. So okay, now he's in bed and maybe trying to make up and reach over to touch you. What? What?
All right.
There's damage there.
Yep.
There's a lot of damage there, And again, I never knew how important it was to not turn your back on a woman in bed in my life. It took me years because I sleep on my side. And for me, it's just going to sleep. But I had to learn, this is why to this day, I like sleeping alone. Anybody who knows me is because it's so much fucking pressure having to be in bed with somebody and being uncomfortable just to make them comfortable. Like your shoulder be hurting like a bitch and laying on your arm, and you got to let them go to sleep first before you can get comfortable. Oh my God,
Really?
Yeah.
Because you know what y'all men do? Y'all men, y'all was, it would have been a argument. Y'all would have the last say, and then y'all want to be don't say nothing else. I be wanting to bop y'all upside your head and say something.
That's why
I get it, Sherry.
That's why I say
it.
that's why I'm learning. And if I ever find myself in a relationship again, these are things I need to hear. Tasha, go ahead.
I know. I was just gonna say, there's a fine line though, like in the stonewalling. Number one, I know where I picked it up from. My stepmom used to do this shit, and it would drive me fucking crazy. But I think that there is a fine line. I think of like stonewalling is you are closing the lid on that conversation to never revisit it again. But for me, because I know my temper, I know me, I will have to shut it down and say, you need to get out of my face, because it's going to get real nasty. It's going to be like you need to get out of my face in this exact time. Because for me, I only have like so much, and I know it's from being raised with my brothers. because for me, then I just want to go violent. I do want to swing at you. I do, because that's the only way that I know that I could express myself of how I'm feeling in that moment. But I do give you a warning. I will say I've only been in, and I'm being perfectly honest, I've only been in one abusive relationship, but it was always like me like defending myself. I've only been in like in one, but I've never just readily just like attacked a man because I'm not crazy to steal a man, but still, I will say you need to just leave me alone in this moment.
I'm glad you said that.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Tasha.
Go ahead, Brother Bert and Hannah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to agree with Tasha. I'm going to be honest. I used to have a lot of rage, and I was in an abusive marriage. Um, so I used to have a lot of rage to the point I used to break dishes, punch walls, because I didn't want to. I mean, I did fight back. I wasn't no punk,
Right.
He was rumbling, but I didn't want to. Besides the defending, I didn't want to get to the point where I'm just attacking you now.
Okay.
So I had a lot of rage, even as a child, like my childhood, a lot of went through. I had rage as a child of certain things, the way my childhood was. So I'll be honest, I will stonewall because I know how angry I can get to the
Okay.
point I'm ready to flip a couch and punch a wall. And well, I did flip a couch one time. That's how Bert looking down. But
I ain't looking down. I'm just listening.
I mean, I know how angry I can get, so I will shut myself down
Okay.
because I know I don't ever want to get to that level I used to be, because especially when it's a good time and I know it's not the same as the past.
Right.
I have to sometimes, which sometimes isn't good, but I know I don't want to get angry and I don't want to get reckless, so I will actually just shut myself down. And it is ignoring and it's sometimes wrong, but for my own personal reasons, I do that because I don't want, the past to come out and you be looking like, well, what the heck is this?
That's fair. That's
Like
fair.
no one wants to see She-Hulk ever. So I'm not saying it's good to shut yourself down, but sometimes it depends on how angry you can get from something that you just feel very strong about. I'm not saying you should stonewall. It's not good. I am guilty of it. I'm better at it because we have learned how to communicate better. And I appreciate the fact that we actually will talk things out and I don't have to, because I would ignore. And we are both stubborn people. But the fact that we learn how to communicate through the stubbornness is the reason
I
why
love it.
we're working
I love it.
through the stonewall.
I love it.
But it was
That's what's up.
hard in
I
the
love
beginning.
it. I love it. I
That's
love
what's
it.
up.
Brother Bert.
All right. Real talk for real folks. Stonewall is a byproduct of being strong-willed. And sometimes it's a two-edged sword. It can cause you to live and it can cause you to die.
Very true.
And at certain points in time, I'm guilty of it. And listen, maybe it's my scorpion nature, but a lot of times if I feel like I'm being attacked, I feel like you punking me or something like that. So I'll get real rigid, so to speak. And then all of a sudden I'll shut it all the way down to let you know that you're not gonna get the best of me, that I'll just go ahead and just get on to a silent trip. And to tell you the truth, I've done this in the past, not in this relationship. I've done this to a point where I did it for a week straight, where I ain't say nothing. Just shut you down all the way, let you know that you're not that big of a part of my life. And that was an ego thing.
Right.
A week?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm being real on it.
I love it.
And I sometimes I fall into that trap sometimes when it's really not all that deep. Now I'm getting better at it, and I'm sure she'll agree with it. I'm starting to get a little bit better
That's
with
the key.
dealing with that. But at the end of the day, sometimes like what Tasha was saying, you're doing it for a protection mechanism. But after a while, you can see that it's
That's the
not only
key.
hurting yourself, but you're hurting the relationship.
I love it, and that's why again, as we're coming to the end, there's no neat bow to put on it. You know what I'm saying? What we're talking about, that we're not saying that, oh my God, this is going to work. I love the fact that we're talking about it so that we recognize that again, there's still a lot of work to do. And so, as the title of the show, Horsemen, it's about reining it in. It's about reining it and reining those horsemen in, because they're going to ride. They're going to come out.
Right.
You know, if you're in a relationship that's worth its salt, you're going to disagree. There's going to be criticism. Trust and believe. There's going to be criticism. There's going to be opportunities that if you don't watch it could lead to contempt. You're going to get defensive. You know what I'm saying? And whether you're protecting yourself or that other person, you're going to stonewall. But the trick here is not to let them ride over the relationship, to keep pulling them back, working on ourselves, you know, so that we can be better. That's the why I wanted to have this conversation. I'm glad that we can each see ourselves in some of these different ways and how we can address it, you know, to make our relationships better. And in this case, not just even in a romantic sense, me and my sister, to make our relationship better,
Right.
you know, to hear her tell me things I need to work on,
Right.
you know, so that we can communicate better in even friendships. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tasha and I, you know, we're so tight and close. I lived with her. I know that temper all too well. I knew when to back off, like you said, Brother Bert, to where she might swing on my ass if I keep
I
fucking
hook
with her.
off.
You know what I'm saying? So let her, and I'm being so serious here to get, because what the example that talked about is taking a walk or watching something funny, and I was laughing because it was so true. I've lived with Tasha, and we had instances where, man, she came in and leave her the fuck alone right now. Let her go in her room and do whatever she needs to do. And I shit you not, hour later come out, she sit down sometime, there's a game on or something, we laughing and we talking. Better frame of mind. Black, what do you want to eat tonight? Blah, blah, blah. So you have to know each other enough to know when to back away and then to not take it to, you know what I'm saying? To recognize that, okay, she need to cool down. He need to cool down. Let me leave them alone. So it's a work in progress.
And I get that, but with my stubborn butt, with that last part,
Kitty.
and I will say this real quick. To one thing I want to say, no response is a response. So always remember that if you don't respond, that is a response, and that's telling that person that you're not important to me. Regardless of,
I love it.
That's telling that other person that.
I love it.
And second of all, to Tasha and to Hannah, they say that, hey, I'm a firecracker. Don't mess with me. Don't talk to me right now. I might go off. I'm gonna swing on you.
Right.
But that's not fair to the other person. So now you're telling me that you only want to talk when it's convenient for you. So I may not want to holler at you when you ready. So where can we meet in the middle? You can't control. I understand what you're saying, but okay, so I want to talk. Oh no, you can't talk to me right now. I'm gonna swing. Okay, so now I gotta fall back and be ready for you when you ready. That's a part of control. Now you showing me that you want to control my emotions. No, we can't work like that. So we need to find a way that we can have a disagreement and we can come together and talk about it.
Would you say, Tasha, and I said it's worth exploring in a show, how to argue?
Above the belt. Yeah, above the belt.
It's worth having that conversation,
Right.
because
That's all.
True.
And I'm not saying Tasha and Honda, you all are wrong.
We get
that's
it.
who you
Oh,
are.
no, I understand.
You're pointing out.
Okay.
You're pointing out the reality of it.
Yeah.
There's
That's why I
there's
had to
another
learn
side.
that.
There's another
Okay.
side. So that's why I said we by no means addressed all of this stuff. And that's why I do think it's worth having a conversation about how to argue fair, effectively, you know, because it's gonna happen. So absolutely. So I kept it to about an hour, you know, and 4 minutes. I kept it, we got through it all. I thank you guys again. You know, we've shortened these shows, and it shows us that there's so much more to talk about. There's always so much more to talk about. And that's the beauty of it, but I love the fact that we are talking about it. The only way we're going to make any progress, whether it's incremental or leaps and bounds, is we can't stop talking about it. We can't pretend that it doesn't exist, you know, and that's the only way we're going to keep getting better at this. And so I hope that for whatever little role that I can play in you know, when this camera goes off, that we can still have those conversations.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I've said this to people a million times. Tasha and I would be talking about this type of shit whether this platform was here or not.
Here or not, right? Gotcha.
You know,
But it's good that you all got this platform and it's talking about it, because a lot of
You
a
know.
lot of couples and a lot of people need to hear this. So
so
it's
that's
dope.
what I'm
Yeah.
hoping. So that's why I
Yeah.
say so. I love you guys as always. So thank you for sharing a little bit of Wednesday with me. We know we passed the hump day part now. I hope everybody enjoy the rest of their week. Until we see you on Sunday, have a good time. Love each other. Fight fair and keep it real.
Already. Deuces.
Late